Welcome to Tell Me About It, the podcast about using your voice to make a difference. I'm your host, Christopher Donoso, speech-language pathologist, voice specialist, and entrepreneur. On this show, we talk with people who are using their voice, their passion, purpose, and platform to create change, build businesses, and shake things up in their communities. Sometimes that means actual vocal work. Sometimes it's about stepping into leadership, building something from nothing, or pushing back against norms. Whether you're a creative, a clinician, or someone just trying to figure out what your voice sounds like, you're in the right place. So, why don't you tell me about it? Righty. Welcome, everybody, to Tell Me About It. Today, I am genuinely ecstatic to be talking with Renée Yoxon. Renée Yoxon is a non-binary voice coach, trans voice specialist in Montreal, Canada. Welcome.
Hi, Chris. Thanks so much for having me.
I am, again, like I said, ecstatic that you were open to meeting and chit-chatting with me on my podcast today.
Of course.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know a very broad and open starting question, but I like to see where it takes people.
A little bit about myself. Well, you already covered the big ones. I'm a non-binary person in Montreal, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. I tend to use those words, a trans voice coach. You know, the only thing I don't use is therapist because I have a music background. But I've been in the voice space for many years before I was a gender-affirming voice teacher because I was a musician. So for, I don't know, 15 years, I was teaching people how to sing. And that's what led me to doing this work. So
Okay.
that's me. Do you want more personal details
Yeah,
outside of my
sure.
work? My hobbies include running, and I just started taking up biking, as you can see in the frame here, and sewing. I'm trying to learn how to sew because as a non-binary person, I'm finding clothing very challenging lately.
I understand. Well, how did you get into running? I have a little bit of a connection with that. Not because I like running. I despise running.
You don't like running.
I don't, but my husband loves running. So I get roped into that a little bit too still.
Well, I got into running because I have chronic pain and I've had chronic pain for like almost 20 years and it was really unmanaged before and I always had like a fascination with running. Like I couldn't walk without the use of a rollator or a cane. Yeah, like I had really severe chronic pain. And then so running, I was like, like what would that even be like to move that quickly? And every year I would like try one every year at Halloween, actually, I would download Zombies Run and try to do like a chapter of Zombies Run. And just, life happened. My body became a little bit better and I was able to run a little bit more. And then I've been doing it now for like 3.5 years and I've been slowly building it up. And actually I really committed when I got signed up for top surgery because I wanted to really improve my cardiovascular fitness because there was some research that said that it improves recovery outcomes. So I was like, okay, I have 1 year. I'm going to really drill down on running. And now I can't stop. I'm doing it all the time.
Do you get the runner's high a lot?
Not often. It has happened a few times, but I'm not like out here pushing myself. Like my running app will say like, you have to do 8 kilometers today. So at 4 kilometers, I'm having a latte and a croissant and then I'll keep running. Some people do the post-run coffee.
That's what I would do.
I like the mid-run coffee, like a little break in the middle.
It's funny. Every time my husband's doing a run, I go, my job is not, I go to the start line, then I find a cafe to park at, and then I go to the finish line.
That's the best.
That's how I do it. Okay. So then you started off as a singing coach. How did you slowly transition into a gender affirming voice teacher?
So at a certain point, I decided I wanted to teach trans people and disabled people exclusively how to sing because there are plenty of amazing singing coaches out there in the world, but there were very few that could offer what those populations needed. And I also thought it would make just a better teaching experience for me because I wouldn't have to explain myself as a non-binary person to my students, and I wouldn't have to explain myself as a disabled person to my students. And so that's what happened. I started teaching these people. But those populations don't traditionally have like a ton of disposable income for singing lessons. So I made a scholarship program called the Right to Sing Award. And I like turned to my community, and I had a little bit of a following online because I had been a jazz musician for so many years, and I was making albums and stuff. So I had some people on a mailing list, and I raised like not a lot of money, like maybe $1,000, and I disseminated that money. I basically paid my salary with that money that I raised in order to give like
Mhm.
10 free lessons to people who applied for these scholarships. And through doing that, an organization in Montreal saw one of my Instagram ads that I took out to publicize the either the applications or the fundraising. And they said, "Oh, we see you're teaching trans populations to sing. Like, would you do the speech class?" And they called it trans vocal exploration. That wasn't my original idea. I
Interesting.
know. And I was like, I had never, ever thought about gender affirming voice before they messaged me. And then I was like, wow, like it's kind of all my favorite things, like voice nerdiness, trans people. And they hired me to come and teach a little workshop. They're like a youth organization. So I think there was like under 25 or something. But then they had me come back, and then another organization hired me. And then these organizations kept sending me private students because people would come to them looking for resources outside of like the traditional speech language pathology resources, which in Canada, sometimes there are long waiting lists for gender affirming care. So people were looking for alternatives. And next thing I knew, all my students were gender affirming voice students. And so I thought, well, I better just commit to this. And so I got on TikTok, and I made my first TikTok about gender affirming voice, and it went so viral. I like changed my life that first TikTok, and the rest is history. Now I primarily teach through online courses, which is the way that I've chosen because I find that I'm able to like help way more people than I could
Mhm.
just by teaching private lessons.
Wow, that is really cool. That's really interesting. It kind of like you like had the background for it and it kind of just like came to you, like kind of more or less like fell on your lap and
I know. And so many
just
people
kept
like
going.
try actively to do this. Like I know how frustrating it can be to hear me say, like,
Hmm.
I didn't even want to do this. But I mean, it's like now that I've found it, it's my calling. Like I really feel like I'm doing what I was put on this planet to do. And I absolutely love it. And I
Yeah.
did a lot of self-study, like between, getting requested to do that workshop and doing the workshop. I read a ton of books. I took pedagogy lessons with people that I respected. Like I did a lot of work to get myself ready for that. I didn't just just jump in, but it's really where I belong.
That's awesome. And I agree. I think you do such great work.
Thank you.
This is like this, I am one of those people who intentionally went into trying to
Right.
get this to happen, but I like to do other things as well. But in my gender affirming voice journey of like education, because I'm a speech language pathologist. My program had like some voice education, but like not enough where I was just like, yeah, I totally know what to do, how to work with like vocal professionals and like other people who have voice issues. I did not have that confidence. So I ended up looking into a bunch of courses, a bunch of trainings. I went to like everything speech related that any speech therapy like training that was about
Mm,
voice, I went to.
wow.
And every time I left those places, like I got a little bit of information, but more than anything, I still felt like if a client signs up to work with me tomorrow, I still don't know what to do. Like I have
Mm,
no idea still. And it wasn't until I kind of exhausted my resources in the speech language pathology world that I was like, I got connected more with other vocal professionals, like singing coaches, voice coaches, and just due to my own, um, what's the word? I guess lack of knowledge or just
mm,
not understanding the world of voice that well. Like I always thought it has to be from a speech therapist. Like speech therapists
mm,
know the medical side of everything. Like it has to be from them. And
right.
then the more and more I went to these trainings, I'm like, and meeting with other voice professionals who just aren't speech therapists, I'm like, oh no, they're just as great as speech therapists, if not some are better actually.
Well, people ask me often, like, what's the difference between like a gender affirming voice teacher and a speech language pathologist? And I always say, like, speech language pathology is a massive field. It's huge. Like,
Hmm.
if you're looking to to take get your gender affirming voice care from an SLP, just make sure that they also have that specialization. But when you're talking to a gender affirming voice teacher, that's the only thing I do. I
Yep.
can't do anything else.
I tell when people ask me that type of question between like a gender affirming voice teacher or a vocal coach versus an SLP, I say SLPs can bill insurance.
That part, exactly.
I'm like,
I
that's
cannot.
the only difference.
Hmm.
Their level of training could be more or less, but
Hmm.
the only thing we can say is that we can bill your insurance.
That's right.
But after going to all those like speech things, I exhausted my resources. I still felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and then that's when I ran into your course. I saw a little bit of your stuff on not TikTok. I was not a TikToker, still struggling there, but
Oh,
mostly
that's
through
okay.
Instagram.
Okay, you found me through Instagram?
Yeah, I found
I
you through
love that.
Instagram. And then I again, kept listening to your stuff, getting some ideas for myself. And then you released your course for other teachers.
Right.
And I had the choice between paying like $1,000 for a speech therapy course or like your course, which was significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I've been going to all these speech courses. I keep feeling confused afterwards. Like maybe I'll get a little bit of an idea of what I need to do, but still not enough. So I'm gonna take the jump and go with a voice teacher instead this
Mhm.
time. And I even told my husband, like I would always complain to him. I was like, this is the best course I've taken.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Not only like information wise, content wise, the way everything was formatted, the fact that you were the platform that you were using, I think it was Kajabi.
That's right. That's where I host my
Do you
courses.
still use Kajabi?
Yeah, I am still using Kajabi.
Yeah, it was great because on my commutes, because I was commuting all the time, I would just listen to it like it's a podcast.
Okay.
And then anytime like I had a moment to like sit down, I would go into it and look at all the like stuff that was there. I'd print it out, look through it again. Like I would just listen back to it again,
Wow,
like
Chris.
podcast format.
You really are the ideal use case for the platform, I think. Like that's exactly what I want. I want people of all learning types to be able to get the information in a way that works best for them, whether that's listening or watching. I mean, ideally, I like when people come and take it synchronously. Like I think we
Mhm.
gained a lot from from your cohort. Like the group really brought something special to the training. But if they're not able to, they can still get like a pretty good experience, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, and even because it was asynchronous, but even then I was like we still had those moments to like connect and like
Mhm.
sit like chit chat and do those things. And I think the way everything was just formatted, again, formatting was amazing, but
Thank you.
content wise, it wasn't until I took your course that that I looked into the information. I was like, all this stuff is stuff that I learned from SLPs, like just the basic knowledge. And then like the actual techniques and strategies to actually work with clients was like, this is what I was looking for.
Oh, I'm really happy to hear that. That really makes me happy.
And it wasn't until I finished your course that I was like, now I think I can work with like actual clients.
Wow. Wow. And we had a follow-up post the course, and you had already been teaching a few people like
Hmm.
after the training.
Yeah, not out of like my own confidence of like, yeah, I could do it. It was literally because I just did all the groundwork of like starting my practice,
Hmm.
and I kind of like avoided advertising anything until I felt comfortable. But before I even felt comfortable, someone signed up with me and I was like, oh, I got
That's
to
what
do this.
happens.
I got to do this. But I've mentioned before that like they're probably the best client I've ever had because I was very forthcoming with them. I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm new to this. My very affordable price is kind of like proof that like I'm learning as I go. And
Right.
they're like, yeah, that's fine. So like
Oh,
anytime I went to a training, I'd be like, okay, I took this new course. They told me this thing, let's do it together. You tell me if you notice anything, you tell me if it's good or bad, if you prefer it or not.
amazing. So
So
you've got
it
that
was like,
hands-on experience right away.
yeah, and it was like a back and forth because they knew I was bringing new techniques and then they were willing to try it. And then they would give me feedback on those techniques, whether it benefited them or they're like, nah, I prefer what we've already been doing.
Amazing. And now that it's been like you said 3 years since you took that training, has your practice evolved?
It has evolved more so that like now before I still felt like I needed some background in additional background in voice because I don't have a professional background in voice.
Hmm.
And that always made me feel like I can't do this work.
Right.
But then the more and more I continue to like progress in the voice world, the more and more I've found people who aren't professional voice people, like in terms of like professional singers or like using
Right.
their voices to that caliber. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, physical therapists aren't all athletes.
That's it. It's really about developing your ears and knowing the strategies and knowing all the different ways that you can, all the pitfalls of every exercise. Like you become like a human library of exercises and strategies. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
you're developing. You don't have to be a voice expert yourself. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I definitely was a better like singing teacher than I was a singer, even though I could sing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And after I kind of like made that realization, honestly, only because afterwards I had to take physical therapy. And I'm like, wait, these people, it was like this like small, like not to say that she wasn't a good physical therapist. She was just like a small, frail little woman helping me with like my knee injury. I'm like, she's not an athlete. She knows what she's
Right.
talking about, but I don't have to be a vocal performer expert to do what I need to do. So it was after I kind of made
Exactly.
that realization that I'm like, okay, I can do this work. However, I still need to make sure I know my stuff.
Exactly. That's wonderful.
And again, your course was one of those things that like genuinely helped a lot. And now because of that, I've kind of like skyrocketed a little bit more into being more comfortable teaching other people. Like now I work in a
Amazing.
university and I teach students about voice. And I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh my God, 3 years ago, Chris would not have been able to believe that this is what I'm doing.
Imagine. Imagine. That is so cool. What you I don't know, maybe you don't want to say what university you're at, but like
That's
what
fine.
position are you in?
I work in William Patterson University in New Jersey, and I'm
Okay.
their clinical educator specializing in voice. So they have a little like
Wow.
clinic where people come in for therapy at a reduced rate, knowing that
Mhm.
like students are going to be treating them.
Yes.
But I'm like always watching.
Mhm.
And anytime they get like a voice client, it goes to me.
Right. That's incredible, Chris. I'm so happy to hear that. Wow, it sounds like
Yeah.
you've really like stepped into your power as a voice professional.
Yeah. And now I'm in the journey of again, this SLP side of just accepting insurance, which is
Mhm.
a whole another ball game that is pain in my rear end.
I mean, I've had the pleasure of befriending a lot of SLPs this past 12 months. And yeah, I hear it's a huge pain in the butt.
Mhm. But to your point, the people that I work with the most are people who can't afford,
Right.
like they not that they can't afford, they have so many expenses on top of like if especially if they are going through very medically a very medical transition, I guess is the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
way I could
If
describe
there's a
it.
lot of different surgeries you want to get done and
Mm-hmm.
procedures and things. Yes, absolutely. Some people have way more on their list than other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can
So
take advantage of insurance, you should.
yeah. So I know that they already have so many things on their plate, expense wise and life wise.
Mhm.
I always felt it was a disservice for me to like not accept insurance, being
That could.
someone that can.
Yeah,
So it's a process, but I'm learning a lot about it.
that's good. I love
So
it.
back to you though.
Okay.
How did you decide to kind of start your own business in this field? Like we know how you got into this world. How did you decide, okay, like I can do this or like I can run my own business this way?
I mean, I've kind of always been an entrepreneur in my life. Like when I was a professional musician, that is being an entrepreneur. Like I don't know if it's the same in the States, but in Canada, you don't have to like register an LLC before you can start being an entrepreneur. You can just make money and then you claim it on your income taxes. So I had been like living as an entrepreneur as a jazz musician for many, many years. So I wasn't like afraid of small business and all that it entails. And also my father was a small business owner as well. So just saw that like it was just something I knew was possible. And then I had been teaching voice for 15 years. Like that was also a business that I run. And I had been like changing the format of that over the years. And I had been a YouTuber and I had, like all the pieces of the puzzle were kind of there when I
Uh-huh.
started. But then when I had this viral TikTok moment and I realized I had this opportunity to create a course and have enough like critical mass to sell it and maybe it would work out. Um, when I saw that, I knew how to do everything basically. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew where to go to become resourced to do what I needed to do. And there were a few, like there were definitely some things that I wish I had known at the beginning. Like I wish I had a little bit more bookkeeping knowledge, and I wish I had had a lawyer handier. Like, don't get me started on all the little administrative tasks of running a business. That stuff I'm still learning every day. But I also just have like the gay audacity. Like I have unearned confidence. I don't know where it comes from. I never for a second thought that I couldn't succeed,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I, interesting because I kind of had a bit of the opposite. Again, I guess it can, a bit of it has to do with like the way the states are, but like it was very formal to me. Again,
Mhm.
coming from like a very like medical background, I was just like,
Right.
I just graduated. There's no way I could just like, I can have my own business. Uh, and the biggest difference for me was just that like I got into this field to practice voice, and I kept saying, okay, after I graduate, I'm going to do voice. Couldn't find anything. All right, I'm going to do a year of
Mm,
work and then I'll find voice. Still couldn't find anything. And like just years passed and years passed, and like I just couldn't find anything, any voice related
jobs.
positions. Yeah,
I see. And you just hadn't ever like been self-employed before.
never,
See,
never.
I've spent way more years self-employed than employed. Like I can count on one hand the number of, I can count on one finger the number of office jobs I've had. And like when I have a background in physics as well, and when I graduated from physics, I had like a lab job as a summer position, and like those were
Mhm.
my, like I had one office job, one lab job, and that was it. But for most of my life, I've been self-employed contract worker, and I think that's related to, like I said, being a musician, but also having disabilities. Like I never considered that I could even work a regular job because my health
Mhm.
was so precarious all my life that I had to do gig work basically to make it work.
Mhm. Yeah. And now I'm kind of like, I'm coming from that opposite end where I'm shifting. I used to always do office, like have like a 9 to 5, again, in the field of like medicine and like speech therapy. But now it's like
It's still a
today,
job, like a
it's
regular
still a
job.
job. Like my husband's just like, oh, you're not, like today we had to go run to the doctors, and he's just like, oh, you're not working today. I'm like, not right now. I'm not seeing any clients today, but I'm going to be editing a video. I'm going
Yeah.
to be working on some materials. I got to like look over some documentation. Like I'm still working.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not getting paid for it, but I'm working.
That is the thing about being an entrepreneur. You're really like the connection between your work and your money becomes a little bit nebulous. I mean, when I was a
Yes.
musician, it was like, I do gig, you give me $150, you know. Now
Uh-huh.
it's I will work like many hours in the week that I don't get like direct money from, but it's fine. I get to choose how I work, and I love it
Hmm.
actually. It's great.
It comes back to you in one way or another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, especially for me, one of the hardest things sometimes is like just going into that office
Hmm.
and just getting through that day and just suffering throughout the day to like just get it done, versus now like if I'm like, okay, I really have to get something done, the way I've been able to cope with it, I'm like, okay, let me find a cute cafe to go to, and I'll just
That's
like,
nice.
I'll go get this latte that I probably shouldn't, that has way too much sugar in it, but who cares, and I'm gonna bang out all this work,
That
and
is a strategy.
it works.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, I was saying that you can work a bunch and make no money from the work, but also I will be like literally asleep and make three sales. You know what I mean? So I also make
Mm-hmm.
money when I do nothing. So
Yeah.
there's just this complete disconnection between the work and the money coming in. I have a lot of strategies for getting your work done if you want to talk about
Yeah,
self-employment.
what are your strategies?
So I don't like a to-do list personally. I feel like I don't ever really, sometimes I'll write like all my to-dos down if I get a little scrambled. But what I like to do is keep to-dos as calendar items. So I will
Mm.
block off like the same number of work blocks every day. For me, it's like between 3 and 4, depending on the day. 90-minute work blocks. And then I will assign one or maybe two tasks to each work block. So I really don't try and do more than 4 things a day, generally. It's like there's an email block, there's a script writing block, there's a customer service block, I don't know, whatever the blocks are. And I just do them when my work is. But that way I can see, like, are all the tasks that I have to do represented in time in the calendar? If not, we're going to have a problem, right? We're not going to get all the tasks
Ah,
done. So I just feel like it keeps me on track if I know that I have scheduled, like, I guess I do keep a to-do list, but I also then transfer that to-do list to the calendar, because without the
mhm.
calendar, the to-do list is meaningless. You know what I mean? I need to know
Yeah,
when it's happening. And that's very important.
gotcha.
And then I also use Pomodoro a lot when I'm for those 90-minute work blocks. I'll do like, have you ever heard of
Oh, it's
Pomodoro technique?
no.
Pomodoro is just a type of tomato, but there's like, I guess, a timer that looks like a tomato. That's why they called it that. But you basically work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. You work for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, you work for 25 minutes, then you take a 15-minute break. And what I like about that is, what I find the most challenging about office work, like what we're doing here on the computer, is that my back hurts, my eyes hurt. So in those 5-minute breaks, I'm making sure I look outside so that I stretch the eyeballs, I try and stretch the body, do a little dance break, and then I sit right back down. But I have to know what's going to happen in those 25 minutes. If I sit down and I'm not sure what I'm going to do, it's going to be a bad Pomodoro. It has to be like 25 minutes of script writing. Boom, 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 boom. Then the timer goes off. And usually I'm in the flow state, so I want to keep working, but you
Mm.
have to not, you have to put it down. And it's like a muscle you can build over time. Your body will want to work faster so you can get whatever you want to get done in that 25 minutes. And then you can go to the bathroom, make a cup of coffee, whatever. So that really helps me to keep the momentum going throughout my day.
That sounds like something that would definitely benefit me. I've usually done like modifying the space, like going to a place where people are working,
Mm-hmm.
that like it makes me want to work more. And then there's another, I forget, I'm blanking out on the program, the like website that I use, but it's uh like a like a work buddy. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's like you just sign in, and someone like it's like a Zoom call
It's
with a
like
random,
Omegle for people who want
yeah,
to work instead of
exactly.
dick around.
Omegle for people who want to work. And you're just like, you say, hey, my name's Chris. Hey, my name's Renee. What are you working on today? Oh, I have to bang out a couple of like reports today. And they're like, oh, sweet. I need to like respond to some emails. Awesome. I prefer the mic muted. Me too. Okay, we mute.
Great.
And you just have like an hour that you're just on this like muted Zoom call and you're just doing your work.
Body doubling. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll just put on YouTube videos of other people working. Like
I haven't done that.
there are Pomodoro timers. If you look up Pomodoro 1 hour, there'll be like somebody writing an essay with like a timer in the corner of the screen. That is so useful. I've used that many times. Now I'm more into the DJ sets. I'll put on a DJ
That's
set.
what I've been doing.
I love the YouTube DJs. I think they're so good. I'm so
I
grateful for
I have
them.
all the DJ sets. I also like, depending on the type of work, there's some certain work I can do in my office and certain work I have to do in my kitchen for some reason.
Interesting. That's fine.
Don't know why.
Love that.
But yeah, it work that's the hardest thing I kind of had to wrap my brain around with being an entrepreneur, is like getting shit done.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to have that issue, and now it's been so long. Like, I've been doing just this business for 4 years. I don't think about like getting stuff done. The thing that people have that, oh, I'm at home, so I can't get things done. It's not even a thing I think about anymore. I do not
Interesting.
struggle with getting things done anymore. But I do remember a time when it was like more challenging, when I, was a little bit more unfocused. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's because your business, I don't know. At a certain point, you have to like, there's so much to do. You have to work.
Yeah.
You can't stop working. So I haven't had time to, dick around too much. But also, I love to work slow. Like, I don't overload my days, so I don't dread work. Maybe that's like the
Mm.
secret here. Like I said, you really only have a morning and an afternoon. Like, unless you're a night person, I'm not. But I will do like guaranteed one thing in the morning, one thing in the afternoon. But beyond that, everything else is a bonus. And I make sure I take time to exercise. I also only work 4 days a week. I don't know. I didn't mention that, I don't think, but I don't work
Oh.
Fridays. Yeah, I work 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday.
So like your Fridays are not even like a clerical day, not even a
Nope.
client day. It's just you're just chilling.
I run 10 kilometers and I go grocery shopping.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's sick.
Okay. So then so everyone usually starts off like solo dolo, doing their own thing, kind of like like nose to the grindstone? When was it that you started to like look for help?
You know what? This is going to be a ridiculous story, actually, because when I had my last office job, it was in the pandemic, like in the thick of it, and things were wrapping up with that job. I was like, okay, I have enough for these gender affirming voice students. I think I need to quit the job and just focus. But I was worried because I didn't really have enough to like make enough money per month.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of, I don't know what possessed me, but the moment I quit, I hired somebody. I hired an assistant. I had no money and I was like, I need you to, because I just know myself and I wasn't going to pitch. I don't really enjoy
Mm-hmm.
pitching. And so I just hired a woman, a friend in the city who pitched a bunch of workshops to a bunch of organizations. Well, wouldn't you know, within 1 month of hiring her, because the first month I think I made like $1,200. I had no, it was bad. It was a bad month. But the second month she got me like 12 workshops with an organization. They had just picked up funding from for online learning in the pandemic. And they hired me to do 6 workshops in English and 6 workshops in French. And that was the foundation of the first course I sold, because I
Wow.
taught the workshop enough times that I could pretty much do it in my sleep at that point. And I was like, well, I know exactly what the course is going to be. It's going to be this friggin' workshop. So I didn't wait to hire somebody. She then eventually left. And there was a time when I was working on my own for a little while. And then in that moment, I started to identify like what tasks are really slowing me down and that I really don't enjoy. And for me, that was editing my TikToks. I had been making like a bunch of these online content. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Editing is hard. And luckily for me, I had a relationship with a filmmaker already, because this woman, Tegan, uh, had made some music videos for me and also made a documentary about me. And then we were just friends, and so when I was looking for an editor, she was like a natural fit for that. Well, now she works, I don't know, between 4 and 6 hours a week for me, editing YouTube videos and editing scripts with me and doing social media. And her role is just growing every year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know when is the time, like maybe probably sooner than you think, because if you
Yeah.
want to go fast, what is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've gone
Um,
way further with others than I could have gone by myself.
that's something that I'm slowly like working on. My problem my problem is like I just have a bad time like giving people control over stuff that
Oh my
like I
gosh,
want to
Chris,
do.
the delegation piece, you got to learn. You gotta,
Hmm.
because it was hard
But
for me too. I remember when Tegan wanted to do things that I didn't want, I wanted it done a little differently. I had to sit myself down and be like, Renee, who cares if it's not the shade of blue that you would have chosen or whatever? Who cares? It's done and you didn't do it. Like, and I
uh-huh.
have become so much more laissez-faire in the last 6 months. Like,
Hmm.
really, I mean, it took me a long time to get there, but
So
it's a
then like
muscle as well.
so then like financially you were able to like it ended up being beneficial because even though like you were saying that first month like you were didn't make it wasn't a good month for you, you spending that little bit of extra money even though you were tight benefited you in the long run
Of
because then
course.
you got
But
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
more,
yeah.
less on your plate.
Ideally, a person you hire sort of pays for themselves, right? Like, you
Hmm.
obviously, if you're losing money, you can't hire people, but sometimes you have to take a chance and
Hmm.
hire someone so that you can make the money to hire them. You can't like wait until you're making the money to hire them. And if
Yeah.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's like not the end of the world. I mean, I should say I'm quite fortunate. Like, I have a safety net. Like, my parents are like well off enough that if I was destitute, they could support me. Like, I have never experienced the financial precarity that some people in the world have. So I don't have, I mean, I was a disabled jazz musician for most of my life, so I don't have a lot of money, but you know what I mean? I was never like facing homelessness or
uh,
food insecurity or anything like that. So it's not as easy for every person to like just take a chance. Like, I don't want to make that sound flippant. I was so lucky that I could take a chance, that I had the
mhm.
security that I had in order to take that chance, and I recognize that fortune.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the same thing with me. Like I'm able to take a chance in this being an entrepreneur because my husband has a 9 to 5 job with health insurance
That
that
part.
I can be on his benefits and I can have these like shitty months because I know we have like together, not definitely not something I would have been able to do alone, have like a safety net.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. And but the thing is, I think some people don't recognize the abundance that they do have in their life, and they're just afraid for reasons that they have trouble describing. It's like just this
Hmm.
fear, this scarcity, but like, you have to ask yourself, like, is there more abundance than you think? Could you, or what does abundance even look like to you? Like, how much money do you even need to feel like you're living in luxury? Right.
True. Now that question is more blurred than ever, especially given like state of economy and everything.
I know. I feel you. The other thing there that the other thing that makes my business very secure is that I have very good housing security. Like I've lived in this apartment for 12 years and my apartment is $850. So like no one like this rent is unheard of. And I think if I lived somewhere where I was paying like market rent, I don't know if I would be as bold with my financial
Hmm.
choices with my business. Like
Yeah.
having this safety net really makes a huge difference.
Well, when you started off, what was like the biggest challenge for you just to like really get things going?
Mm. The start was such a whirlwind. It's honestly hard to like for me, I think it was about learning how to make online courses because that was something I had never done before. And I really believed when I first started that my value as a teacher was only in what I could provide private students, like only in what I could provide a one-on-one client because I believe that my ears and what I could hear and that like the particular nuance of how I taught was like really my value. And so I had always famously said that I would never sell an online course. And then this, I know. And then this virality happened, and I was like, oh no, like if I don't do that, there will be a huge wait list for my services. And that's not, and also it won't, there'll be so many people who could have benefited from my work that aren't going to benefit.
Mm.
So I had to like teach myself the lesson of like your value as a teacher is further than what you can provide to a single student. Like you can communicate education in a way that will benefit large quantities of people over time. But I didn't believe that I could do that at first. So it really was like a learning curve for me.
Mm. So then you were able to do all that. What are like some now that was like when you started. Now, this new or the place that you are now, what is the biggest challenge that you face on a day-to-day basis? Or maybe even a monthly basis?
Yeah, I don't know. Now we're on like the growth cycle. It's like now we have
Mhm.
to see what is possible if we start to think bigger. And I don't know, there's a line that I think of often, which is like, we always prepare for failure, but we don't prepare for success. And that was 100% me. Like I've always been like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but now that things
Mm.
are going well, and it's not like everyone has like an up and down curve in their life. I'm not on like a continuous upward trajectory by any means, but I am seeing like, okay, there's more and more people every month, and like how do I create a business that can cater to 10 times as many students but still give everybody the same quality of learning,
Mm.
still provide enough like one-on-one support. Like I do an office hour and I don't know if it would function if there were 10 times as many students in my courses. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm looking at how to scale, keep my mental health in check, and also like keep supporting people. So it's a puzzle I've never had like the fortune of trying to solve before, but it's a great problem to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I've noticed too. Like every couple months, it's like a new problem that I like wouldn't even have considered
Oh
like
yeah.
months
Oh
ago.
yeah.
And it's like it in the moment, yeah, it's not the best problem to be dealing with, but like wasn't even an option like a couple months ago. Like right now, it's like applying to insurances and like getting accepted into these insurance programs. Like right now, that's the problem, and it's not a bad one. Obviously, it's just
Hmm.
pain in the rear end to have to deal with, but not something that I was even considering months ago. And then hopefully, when all that gets approved, more clients will have access to this type of service.
That's right.
And now that I know how to do it, my goal is also to not only grow my own practice, but also like grow the field of voice in the speech pathology
Yes.
world too. Because I'm tired of like even now, like just for funsies, I look for like job positions. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm not going to take that position. It's not worth it. But I'm like,
Nice.
it's always for a hospital or a large organization. And like the pay is atrocious and it's like crazy
Isn't that
client.
so sad?
Yeah. And like now I'm working with students. I'm like, I'm telling everyone, I'm like, hey, you could start your own business as soon as you graduate. And they're like, what?
Yeah. I'm
So
sure
like,
many SLPs don't realize that they
oh no,
can just be an entrepreneur if they want to.
not at all. And again, I was one of those people until like I had to be in a position where it's like either I can be comfortable working in a school with kiddos and not like my job, but have job security, or I can put myself in a very uncomfortable position, but love my job.
That's what I
And
always say. With any problem I have, it's like this is the best problem to have. I'm happy to
mhm.
have. These are the problems that I chose, and I love these problems, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Hmm.
So I have another last question that's a little
Sure.
bit more of a personal question related to voice and trans voice. So when working with clients, I find the beginners the best to work with, and then the super advanced to like we're just cleaning things up. How do you work with, or like how do you help the clients that are like intermediate, even if like you've worked with them at the beginner, they're just like in that. I was even thinking of like how to word this, like they're like at the very tip where they still have more room to grow, they know all the foundation, and they're just
Hmm.
kind of just like in this weird like limbo phase, it
Sure.
seems. Do you get what I mean there?
I do, and I actually think these are the students that would benefit best from what I have to offer. Like obviously the beginners will get what they need from my courses as well, but my whole teaching ethos is like about grinding. It's like just practice. Like here's a
Mhm.
thousand ways to practice. You've seen my practice games book,
Yep.
and my like I have so much information out on habit forming. Like for the people who have been doing it for a while and know a lot but are not feeling like they're getting there, I'm like, I have a habit tracker for you, I have a log book for you. I actually kind of love working with that student because they're so well positioned to just grow and grow and grow, like
Mhm.
by turning their brain off almost and just doing the work. You just head down, heart open, can't lose, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I just it's because sometimes I feel I, as a Pisces, feel feel when a client is like in a struggle phase, like I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm struggling too in that
It's
moment.
fair. Hmm.
But like I have clients who are just like one session, they're like, I got gendered correctly over the phone. I'm like, woohoo, you did
Yay.
awesome. And then like the next session, like I got misgendered over the phone, and I'm just like, ooh, and it's like that back and forth, always like that ebb and flow phase where it's
So
like they kind of just have
Pisces.
like
Oh my
they just
gosh. I'm a
what do
Capricorn. Can you tell? I'm like, boo,
yeah.
feelings.
So like it's always that those are the ones that I feel like I struggle with the most, because again, it's to that point, it's just like practice, like I know the answer. It's like, okay, you have to practice. Okay, you have to practice. Just push through it. Like you have the foundation, you know what you need to do. Now, guess what? Practice.
Practice. I know. I think that for me, it's a little easier to separate myself from those students because I don't see clients one on one the way you do. I do occasionally see them one on one, and of course, see the ones who come to my office hour. But I'm I like touch many more people for a very much shorter period of time. I'm not doing the like long sessions with individuals. So I've had to learn early on how to compartmentalize a little bit. Otherwise, like if I took on everyone's stuff, I would never be able to stay in this business.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So but I do remember when I was teaching privately a lot, when a student would come in that situation, like I didn't really have anything new to teach them. We just kind of needed to practice. And this happens a lot in singing too. I will say sometimes you are just the practice session for the day, and that's okay. Like I know that as teachers, it's so you want to give and you want to provide and you want them to get their money's worth and you feel really stressed when they don't. But sometimes like just them showing up and practicing is absolutely worth their time and money, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's always good to like kind of have that reminder there, especially for me. Like I again, I don't have a professional singing like background and voice or like singing, but I actively take singing lessons because like I always tell people like I don't want to be like the gym coach that like tells everyone to run a mile and they can't even run a mile themselves because
That's
they're
very
just like so overweight.
smart. No, that's very smart of you to like to continue your own voice practice because it keeps you
Yeah.
connected to what it is to have one, which is
Hmm.
it's very unique to each person too.
Yeah. And there are those weeks, I've had those weeks where I'm like so busy, so like jam-packed with stuff that like I couldn't even practice that week. And then I just like show like if it wasn't for the fact that I had this scheduled lesson that I paid for, I still would not have practiced.
And that is the benefit of having a scheduled lesson that you've paid for.
Yep.
Your students benefit from that with you as well.
Yes, thank you. Good. Again, I'm gonna have to like write that down on a sticky note. That's one of the strategies that I share the most that I took from you is I think it was like the sticker
Oh
um
yeah, the
that
blue
like
dot sticker
yeah, the
habit.
dots. I tell people like use a sticky note, have like a little reminder or like a little phrase to use and like I use it for myself all the
Nice.
time for like my own personal goals that I need to work on. But again, thank you so much. I'm being very cognizant of the time. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I like to end podcasts with you just sharing how you hope to continue to make a difference in the world or your world using your voice. How would you like to continue to make a difference?
Well, I mean, as we said at the beginning of this show, or it was before we started recording, all my life is about the voice. So it's
Yeah.
very literal for me. My dream for the future of gender affirming voice is to make it like completely free and accessible for everybody who wants it.
Mm.
I don't know what that future looks like, but whether that's like licensing my courses to libraries or making enough income from people volunteering to pay that it can be free for others, like I don't know, but my dream and to make the world a better place is just to continue to make gender affirming voice care as accessible as possible and also to normalize the process of modifying the voice because I think that it still has some stigma attached to it, like
Hmm.
people think you're faking it or you're making a character voice or something, and I would like modifying the voice to be as normal for both trans and cis and otherwise people as changing your hair or changing your clothes. Like it's
Yeah.
just a part of self-expression.
That I would say that's the biggest challenge my clients have is like they're like it feels like I'm faking it. Like I
Hmm.
feel like I'm faking it. Like I have a fake voice. And like I get that from so many different people.
Yeah. It's because they have a point of reference, right? They can hear that it's different from what they're used to, but strangers don't have a point of reference. They don't
Mhm.
know. So I made a YouTube video about it. I'll send it to you.
I watched it.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I watched almost all your stuff.
Thanks. I'm so happy to
Uh-huh.
hear that.
Yeah. But again, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate your time and your knowledge and wisdom in not just the world of voice, but also like the world of being an entrepreneur.
Thanks. I happy to talk about this. I just love talking about business stuff. I don't get the chance to very often, so I
I know
appreciate
that's why I wanted today to be a little bit different.
it. Nice. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right.